Welcome to ScottyCast, where I'll be interviewing lots and lots of very, very interesting people, some CEOs, some people that are just have incredible ideas about things and what have you. And I'm very glad you've ended up here on my podcast, and all the best. And I hope you enjoy the episode. Hey Johan, nice to see you again, and thank you so much for agreeing to being on my podcast.
Yeah, hi Scott, welcome to my casa.
Thank you very much. So, how's it going with you?
Pretty well. I mean, we just had a sing-along together, right?
Yes, exactly, with one of my favorite songs, You and Me by Lighthouse, yep.
So I felt that really put us in some sort of sync before this podcast.
Yes, exactly, yep.
So how about you? How are you doing?
Oh, pretty good. A lot of the stuff I just ordered from my YouTube channel had to be sent back because it didn't work. I had a great gimbal that I ordered for my camera, and I had to send that back. It didn't work anymore, but other than that, great. Thank you.
Well, shit happens, right?
So, Johan, can you give me a little, let's say, talk about your background a little bit? That would be great to hear what your background is like.
My background, well, I'm born and raised in Sweden. I moved away from Sweden when I was 19. I spent the next 7 years working in Norway.
What did you do when you were in Norway?
I was, for most of the time, I was a security guard. Yeah, so I had...
So I have to watch out about you then?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I mean, I know a thing or two about wrestling.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I worked in, let's say, a district in city center Norway where I patrolled the streets and I had a few shops as well. So that was, I was brought into that world when I was 19. And what I did was that I worked a few years, then I went traveling around the world, and I worked for another year or two, went traveling, and then back at work. So in total, seven years in Norway with two, big travels.
Was that during the time of the big boom, the oil boom, when they were making lots of money?
During the big oil boom, yeah. In Sweden, we had, it was hard to get a job because my town was hit with the financial crisis in 2007.
Yep.
And it's quite industrial, so a lot of us just moved to Norway.
Oh, wow. So a lot of people moved to Norway?
I think in Norway, it's roughly like 60,000 Swedes in Oslo alone.
Wow.
Capitals, it's quite a lot, right?
There's a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So the people that all left Sweden, that was left a vacuum, I guess, in Sweden.
Yeah, maybe. I think a vacuum of young people, maybe. I think I think mostly it was like people in my age, like 18, maybe up until 30.
Are you 18? I thought you were a little bit older than that.
I'm older now. I was 18 back then.
Yeah.
I was a young kid when I went to Norway. So I did that for 7 years, then I finally decided to go back to school. Went to Scotland for 4 years.
Oh, what did you study then?
I did business management up in Aberdeen, northeast Scotland.
Oh wow, that sounds wonderful.
Which is funny enough the oil and gas capital of the UK.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
So that was a coincidence, I guess.
It was a coincidence. It was a tremendous coincidence. The reason, you want to hear how I got there?
Yeah, please.
Pretty strange. I was going to Manchester and Liverpool to watch some Premier League football with my brother, maybe 2013.
Was it a younger brother or older brother?
Older brother.
Okay.
So, and in Scandinavia we have this thing called snus. Now snus seems to be a widespread thing.
I know what that is.
Yeah, you have it in America as well, of course. So I remember like standing in the tax-free. It was just me, and it was like a pretty late flight as well. It was just me and another guy, and we kind of looked at each other while both having a snus. And it turns out he was German, so we started talking. And he said, "You know what? I study in Glasgow, and I think you should go to Scotland too because it's free education for EU citizens." I was like, "Oh, sure, cool." I didn't think much about it, and then 2 years after, it just popped up in my head. His face and his like line to me just appeared in my consciousness, and I was decided to apply to Scotland, and well, I got accepted and spent 4 years.
What was Aberdeen like then? I've never been there.
It's an amazingly interesting place.
Really? Can you tell me about that a bit?
It's called the Granite City, and it's very great because I would say most of the infrastructure, especially maybe like a little bit older, is made from granite, like granite rock.
Wow. Very interesting.
It's
quite a bit of granite in Sweden also.
Yeah, Maybe actually I haven't thought about that much, but I think that's mostly maybe in Gotland or something. Don't fact check me on that one. I have no idea. But going back to Aberdeen, it's located next to the North Sea, so it's located like they have amazing beaches in Aberdeen, like very widespread. I mean, Donald Trump had his resort essentially in Aberdeen as well.
Please don't say that word, Donald Trump.
He's probably gonna be your next president, huh?
I hope not. I hope.
But anyway, so he's had a golf resort outside Aberdeen as well. So you have amazing beaches, like massive sand dunes.
Man, I have to go there once.
But the thing is, you have a lot of surfing there as well. So I actually surfed there, which was quite cool. But then if you only go maybe 40 minutes west from Aberdeen, you enter in the Highlands. So you have the ocean, road, the beach, and also the Highland. So the biggest national reserve or park in all of UK is located like 40 minutes, 1 hour from Aberdeen.
Oh man, I gotta go there. I've never been to the Highlands. I would love to go to the Highlands.
So Aberdeen is a perfect place to kind of like base your adventures off.
I've been to, I was in Edinburgh and I was in Glasgow just for a short time, and I went up to Turnberry. That was it. I've never been to the Highlands.
I mean, most people go to Glasgow or Edinburgh. I think most people go to Edinburgh. Aberdeen is a bit more hardcore, but you know, it's more up north.
That sounds great. I would love to go there. So I really
it's my second home.
Wow, very cool, very cool.
Yeah, and then I moved back to Sweden, 2019.
How did you feel when you came back to Sweden then?
Strange, lonely, very lonely, because I didn't have any friends here. I mean, I hadn't lived there for so long.
Wow, but then you developed new friends, of course.
I did develop new friends, yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Took a lot of effort though.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
It wasn't like anyone was handing me friends on a silver platter. Here you go. Here's some friends. Here's some friends. No, I had to work for it.
Yeah, yeah.
But now I'm pleased with it.
Very good. Oh, that sounds great.
That's a little bit of my background.
Sounds good. So, do you have any role models that you could tell me about that really, really give you inspiration?
Actually, yeah, quite a few. I mean, I do admire people who's trying to be honest with themselves, and they look at their lives and be like, you know what? There might be a few things about me which I don't like. Maybe let's have a look at that and see if there's something I can do about it. Mm-hmm. So I like that. I admire people who's willing to look at themselves, good and bad and ugly.
Right.
I admire my parents, for sure.
Yeah, you've told me about your parents before. You have like role model parents. I wish all parents were like yours.
I mean, obviously, we all have faults, right? But my parents, you know, one good thing about my parents is like their loyalty to me. They never try to change me.
It's amazing.
Even in my darkest times, I can like, hey, mom and dad, you know, I fucked up, and they'd be like, okay, son, we got you.
Wow, you were blessed with your parents.
Yes, I'm starting to realize. It took me a long time to realize that. Other than that, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger is quite cool. You know, they have a few people here and there. I don't really want to go into too much depth about those people.
No, that's okay. No, I understand. I understand what you mean. But your parents sound really amazing.
Yeah,
Very,
they really are. What about you? Do you have any role models?
Oh yeah, I mean Steve Jobs. After meeting Steve Jobs in Palo Alto and what he's done with Apple, and Elon Musk, just because he has really a lot of get up and go, even though I've heard he's not very easy to work for, and what he's found, you know, founded in terms of like Tesla and stuff. Even though I don't agree with electric cars, but because of the waste in the world, but he has a lot of power. And you're a role model for me too.
Oh yeah?
I mean, you started your own podcast, and I'd like to hear, why did you start your podcast actually?
Oh, that was a nice segue. Thank you for calling me a role model. Why did I start a podcast? So back in 2020, I did a podcast, actually, my first podcast, all in English.
In 2020?
Yes,
wow.
During the pandemic. And I just decided, you know, I have a lot of cool friends from university. Let's put these guys on my show and interview them. So and then I finished, I think I didn't go past 10 episodes, which is actually quite common apparently. Apparently it's like most podcasts die by episode number 3 or episode number 10.
Well, I have 10 out now.
Oh, well, so now you have to make an 11th.
Yes, I will. This will be 11th, actually.
So to get into the higher bracket. And then I quit. And then I guess for 2-3 years, I was like, wow, man, why did I quit? I should have just kept going, right? And then, I decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna do a podcast. So in 2020, oh man, it's almost 2 years now. 2022, I just decided to go for it again.
Good for you.
And then I had a lot of cool new people that I can interview. So it's kind of, it's a pattern here. I usually go into my social circle and interview them. And I realized, I do have a lot of cool people to interview.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing it for 2 years now. That's one thing. I wanted to connect with people and get these people on the show and have them talk about themselves as well, because they're quite cool and have a lot of things to talk about, both in terms of experience, but also wisdom and other things.
Right.
And also the classic. I don't just want to consume things. I want to produce as well.
Excellent.
Be creative.
Yep.
And it's just it's just an amazing way of connecting. We're sitting here opposite a table, and it's a nice way to connect. And we had a little sing along beforehand.
Right.
This is a cool way to just get some social energy as well.
Totally.
Connection.
Totally agree. Yep.
So I'm sure there's other things as well, but those are some of the main points.
Okay. Cool. Very cool.
What about you?
In terms of, well, because I wanted to get my feelings out there to the world about how things are going in the world, and really I've kind of had it with the political systems in the world, all the dishonesty in politics, and really just all the pollution in the world. I'm trying to, in my podcast, also change people's mind about what they're doing with their lives and what they're doing with the ecology, for example. It's just we've gone as being people that came from the forest and came from the plains to being people that are trying to tear down the forests and just destroy everything.
Yeah, I didn't really understand, for example, in Sweden, how much power the forestry companies or logging companies had.
Yeah.
Incredible how much power they have.
Yep.
I even heard a rumor, I don't know if it's true, but from some hunters on the countryside, that they just shoot off all the mooses in certain areas.
Oh, come on.
Because the mooses are eating all those young pine.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
That's very sad.
So they shoot them.
People don't respect animals as much as they should. Animals have feelings, and even cows. Some people have cows as pets. A lot of these animals are very intelligent. Like pigs are more intelligent than dogs, but yet they're killed by the millions in the state. It's just terrible. So what do you think about that? What do you think about all these factory farms and?
I'm very conflicted about it, because I've come to realize that meat is the food my body really enjoys.
Okay.
So obviously I could probably try more vegan and vegetarian diet, but it seems to me that fat and protein is the golden combination for me to really sustain myself throughout the day.
Well, it is important for you to find out what's good for you. It's no question.
Yes, but I think it's pretty fucked up with what we're doing to the animals, for sure. I don't know. I did ayahuasca once, a few years ago, and for some reason, for a quick second, a slaughterhouse was flashed in front of my eyes.
Oh, wow.
And then it disappeared. And I never really understood what that meant. But then I went to Peru a few months ago.
Yeah.
And then I did some volunteering in the jungle somewhere. I can't remember the region. Oh, Tarapoto. Anyway, and this British guy came and said, "Bro, did you know how, like you said, how smart the pigs are?" Mm-hmm. I was like, "I have no idea." And they started telling me how smart it was. They have
videos of pigs in the trough on their way to be slaughtered. They're trying to jump out and they squeal because they're so smart. And it's terrible.
It is. And then I went to do ayahuasca, and one of the things you couldn't eat before, after, or during, before, during, or after was pigs.
Interesting.
So I quit at least pork for a few months, but then I kind of somehow just started eating it again. So this was a little bit of a rant, but yeah, I'm very conflicted. I kind of wish I didn't want to eat meat that much as I do.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about how can I maybe look more into vegan, but I think maybe it's also laziness.
Well, I can help you with that. I've been a vegan for 20 years and I never had so much energy.
Yes. Yeah, maybe we can look into that. So yeah, I've been thinking about it. So
good. I'm glad to hear you're thinking about it at least. That's good.
I'm conflicted for sure.
All right, I understand. How do you imagine your future to be, Johan? I mean, what do you see happening in the future?
I don't know. I see a lot of things.
Yeah?
I feel like I'm in this stage of my life now where, you know, where so many things can happen, and I'm not really sure what those things will be. I mean, I can see one scenario where I live on the countryside, maybe have a few pals living in like surrounding houses, maybe have our families there and just, you know, hang out in the countryside and create a little community.
That sounds wonderful.
That could be one thing. I could see myself like moving as a nomad around, for example, Europe, or like, you know, move around, live in different places. I can see, you know, so I can see myself doing many things.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Leave your options open.
Yeah, sometimes like there's too many options.
Yeah, that's true. I have the same problem. Well, can you tell me, like, what are the biggest influences in your life, both either positive or negative?
I think the biggest influence that I ever received or had in my life was when, like, okay, the biggest influential event was when I broke up with my ex-girlfriend like 5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
It was definitely like a Johan before and Johan after that.
Johan 1, Johan 2.
Yes, definitely Johan 2.0 or 3.0, and now it might just even be 5.0. But yeah, that was a massive shock to my system in so many ways.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. I really felt like I need to look at some things here.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And then I realized, you know, the more you look, the more you uncover, and then it's like a never-ending thing.
Yes, that's
to experience.
Yeah.
In terms of people, I guess my family, to be fair.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
And yeah, there was this one guy as well. So I always felt like I had a weird relationship to the adult world ever since I was a kid.
Yeah.
With teachers, with coaches, with the parents of my friends. I felt when I was a kid that they were all against me. You know, it was me against the adult world, basically.
Oh, interesting.
Besides my parents, then.
What made you feel that way?
You know, I guess I was a very active young man with a lot of energy that people didn't really know how to contain. So people got angry and tried to contain me and work with me in different ways. And I guess I was also very sensitive, you know. So I felt that as a
sensitive, I understand. I'm extremely sensitive too.
So I experienced that as punishment.
Ah.
But then there was this guy back in 2021 when I was a security guard. Shout out to you, Henning, who fought for me. He really like saw me for who I was, and like this guy is very good, but he needs some direction and some support. So he supported me a lot.
So you had a mentor that really helped you.
Yes, and he made me, maybe for the first time, feel that fuck, I'm very capable of what I'm doing.
Well, I was lucky you had someone like that.
Yes.
Yeah, really.
And then so he was very influential to me. And sometimes I forget about him and forget about how influential he was. But then he reappears. And that was that.
Oh, excellent.
And then my parents as well. You know, they taught me a lot.
Yeah, like I said before, you were just extremely lucky to have parents like that.
Yeah, but it took me 35 years to realize that.
But they're still alive?
Yeah, for now.
For now. But you stay in touch with them? Or?
Yeah, talk to them. Sometimes daily, weekly, for sure.
Good for you.
Yeah.
For you.
I'm going to stay there this weekend. I go there like occasionally to hang out with them and just have a sleepover and, you know, be in the forest and the countryside.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
I like recharge.
Both my parents have passed now, and I wish I could go back and talk to them again, but I don't have the chance anymore.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
My mother was a wonderful, wonderful person when she was younger, and then my father, being a little bit too hard, actually caused her to start drinking and taking Prozac and all this stuff, and then she got dementia, and one thing led to another.
That sounds like a sad story.
It is very sad, because she had so many friends, and my father pushed them all away. Very sad.
People are traumatized, right?
Yep, all people are, yep.
Yeah, too many people.
Well, if I could just maybe ask you one more simple question is, do you have any hobbies that you enjoy?
I think my favorite hobby, honestly, is to be out walking.
Yeah.
Yes, exploring, maybe like, regardless if I'm in the city, if I'm on the countryside, at the beach, I just love walking.
Yeah.
I think that's my main hobby, actually.
Okay, cool.
And, reading, learning new things, meeting people, do a lot of crazy adventures and whatnot. But walking is special.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I'm probably the most happy when I'm walking.
Me too. I always come up with a lot of ideas while I walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the same for me. And yesterday I realized I feel a lot of love when I'm out walking. I used to look at people, look at dogs, look at trees, look at streets.
Oh, that's nice. Nice to hear.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Very nice.
So maybe it might not be the most exciting hobby, but it's very exciting to me.
Do you have anything else you'd like to talk about, Johan? Do you have any other questions or things you'd like to bring out? Sounds like you got some construction going on in the neighborhood here.
There's a lot of construction. Which is very good for me because then I have to practice, not have to, but then I can practice my patience.
Yes.
Man, I've been very annoyed with this, to be fair.
Well, with my ex-wife, I learned patience.
Yeah?
Yeah, totally.
It's interesting how things and events and people are teachers, right?
Yes, that's for sure, yeah.
Do I have anything else to talk about? Well, man, there's so much to talk about. Nothing really comes up.
Okay, well, I think we can wrap up then, and thanks again for being on the podcast, and I really look forward to getting it live, and you're going to be number 11, so
Oh, nice.
hope it works out.
Yes, man, me too.
Okay.
I'm happy to be number 11, for sure.
Oh, thank you very much, Johan, and all the best, and continue on with your growing with all these nice people that you know, and I look forward to trying Alaska one of these days myself.
Well, it's out there if you want to.
Okay.
If you get the call.
Okay.
And the call will be from within, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Johan, and all the best.
Thank you.
And I look forward to having future podcasts together. Maybe I'll when I have a chance you can interview me again about new things and vice versa.
Yeah, of course. We will run it back.
Okay. Excellent.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank
Johan.
You. Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of ScottyCast and the interview with my very good friend, Johan Ljung. All the best and see you soon.